Walk your buttock bones back. Hey, I see I already got you off your butt. Find the center of the heel so there's no rotation in the hip. And then right foot and left foot, just walk your feet and let it turn your torso, right? So let the right side of the pelvis go forward when you press through the ball of the right foot. Go to the left side. Yep. Nelson, try and keep your knees apart when you do that. So Nelson, you can even put that blue block in between your legs. Hi, Sonia. So you don't want any internal rotation or external. Put it the wider way, Nelson. Put it the medium. Yeah, that's it. And see what that feels like different through the hips. All right. And then circle the ankles around. So now the knees are going to go like in and out, but really it's happening up at the hip socket. Make a full circle, Randy. So really let the toes come in towards each other. That's better. Feel that up in the groin. And then go the other way. Nice. And then bend both legs, feet on the floor. You can use your hands back behind you and just windshield wiper the legs. So the knees are going to go one side. That butt will lift up. And just feel like it's more like feel like the contents of the belly. So if you just drank a coffee or a tea, it would be like sloshing around a little bit. Nice. And then stay, actually, let's do this one first. So next time the knees go to the left, reach your right arm, take your left hand back, reach your right arm up, and have it be, it's like easy, but we're just starting to move. And then reach that right knee out on the diagonal to turn you more to the left. And then come back, let the knees go to the right, left arm comes up, left butt lifts up. And then reach the left knee away so you get a little bit more elongation in the left side of the belly. Come back to the middle. Find your seat again. See if you can do it without leaning back this time. And then just let your right knee come down. So it's going to the inside. The left leg doesn't move. So it's true internal rotation in the right hip. And you'll see, like, let the left knee come out, and then the right knee's like, oh, I can do that, right? Because you've opened the left side, the left ilium. But I want you to just let that, you'll feel it up in the inside. Good. And then bring the right leg back to neutral, left leg. Don't move that right. You can take the right foot wider, Jack, but don't let it go out. Just internal rotation. This one's going to be really hard for you, Jack. And then when you might feel like you run up into like, there's a hard stop on the inside of the thigh. Reach the knee longer. Like really feel like as if I'm pulling your thigh out of the hip socket. You might get a little bit more space to let gravity work on that internal rotation. Yeah. Come back to the middle. And then external rotation, Baddha Konasana. Should feel like a nice relief. Rise up tall. Find your spit, rock a little forward. And then press your feet together, like press the heels together. So when you look at your feet, look at your heels, it should look like a little tush. Good. And then rise up tall from there. And then press your outer heels together and you'll feel the knees will drop slightly. But it's not from any pressing down. It's from actively engaging the side seat. Yes. And then use your inner thighs and bring your legs together, but make it hard, right? Like feel like you're giving yourself your own resistance. So knees come out, press the outer heels together, reach the knees away. You should feel the side seat engaged. And then feel like you're, if you remember the thigh master, Suzanne Summers, may she rest in peace. I was a little sad when she died. Pull the inner thighs together. Yes. And then straighten the legs. Shake it out. Good. Windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Nice. Right leg, step on the foot. Straighten it. Left leg, step on the foot. You can have your, I'm on my fingertips to just help me like a kickstand so I don't sink back onto my butt. But try and use your belly as the initiation of pulling the leg in. So you're engaging the left side to pull it in. Yes. Because the hip flexor, the psoas is one of the biggest hip flexors. You should feel the thigh draw in from the hollowing of the belly on that side. not a pushing out of the belly. So see if you can get that. And if you need the fingertips back behind you, because otherwise you would sink back, then do that. But eventually you do it without the arms. Yes. And this should feel like deep abdominal work here. Try and be on the, fingertips if your hands are on the floor. All right, right leg in, right knee out to the side, so half like Baddha Konasana. Rise up tall, and then turn to the left. Just turn to the left. And think that your hips are going to stay east and west, and you're going around yourself. So if this is east and west, north would be where your feet were pointing before, and south would be back behind you. You're trying to get the shoulders to come around. Now, reach through the right knee. So it's just going to help turn you a little bit more to the left and give more space in that right hip joint, which should feel really nice, Paula, right? The more you reach that right knee out to 2 o'clock, you're able to turn the chest to 9 o'clock without pulling with your arms. Good. Come back, step on that right foot, pull the belly in. Oh, Sonia, you have, of course, it's like 3 p.m. for you. She's already got a lot to get up and go. Can you lift up from the belly, from sending the knee forward so you get off the right heel? And maybe the left heel doesn't lift up and you use that as a little balancing point. Totally fine. Nice. Straighten the right leg. Woo. Left leg. Fold it in. So don't use your arms to hug the leg in. Straighten the leg again. Bend it. Good. Half Baddha Konasana or Janu Shasana. All right. So you're slightly opening up. Rise up tall through the crown of the head. And then start to turn. So you have to lift up because you have to find more space. If it's not heavy, you won't be able to turn. So you're going to turn to the right. Notice where your shoulders are, not your hands. Where are your shoulders? How can you send the breath into the left side of the rib cage, reach out through the left knee to turn you more to the right so you're not cranking with the arms? Breathe up and down. Feel like the left side gets longer, longer, longer. And then spin onto the pinky side of the right hand and dial the bottom tip of that right shoulder blade in, because eventually you're opening up the sail of the right side of the chest. Come back to the middle. Step on the foot. Gather. Maybe right heel stays down. Ah, see, this is my leg that I don't trust, right? The knee has actually been kind of destroyed. That's it. From the belly. Straighten the leg, shake it out, let it go. Windshield wiper the feet. Cross right shin in front of left. And I want you to make it, so Baddha Konasana, the knees are really wide. I want you to really look at your shin and feel like you're making an X. Lift up tall. And then just circle around. Almost as if you had a hula hoop on the bottom of the waist and you're really moving it around. Go the other way. Just glad you're here, Wendy. Yeah, everybody. You're not disturbing anyone else. It's not like at a studio, right? I wouldn't care if anyone came to my studio late either. I was just happy they were doing yoga. Good. Straighten the legs. Left shin in front. Notice the difference. I'm going to show, like, when I cross my left leg in front, it's the way that feels funny. Like, this left knee is so down and my right one is not. Like, I have to actually pay attention and really find that clear line of energy. I reach through this inner heel. So it looks like it's less open, but it actually has more integrity than how I would just flop. Okay. Circle around. Tiger's already taken your arms up. He's probably already done a workout this morning. Go around the other way. Yeah. So lift that chin, Paula. And if you're lifting the arms, you lift the arms to lighten the torso. Don't lift the arms if it makes your ribs collapse in on the waist. So pretty, Sonia. Nice. Come around, straighten the legs. Okay, come off your blanket. And just like you're sitting, like you're on a beach blanket. On the sand, chatting with your friends. Okay. Turn your hands forward. So fingers pointing towards your seat, elbows draw towards each other. So you'll feel that the thumb side of the hand has as much weight as the pinky side. Lift your butt up, send the knees forward. So do a reverse table. Lift the hips, lift the hips, lift the hips. So we're opening that first fold. We are lift your sacrum, the middle of the sacrum up even more, even more, even more. Keep finding the thumb side of the hands. So wrap the collarbones broad. Okay, and now let your butt fall. You're going to stick your seat out behind you. Just let it fall. Find that first fold. And then little bend with the elbow press. Little bend and press. Little bend and press. A little tricep dip. Little tricep action to keep that waviness in the back of the arm. You don't want that when you wave. Stay in the four corners of the palm. Mm-hmm. So nice. Okay, now lift your butt again. Squeeze your glutes, side seat, lift the sacrum even more and feel that opening in the front of the chest and the front of the shoulder. Press the thumb side of the hand down. So nice. And then let your butt fall. Little tricep dip, tricep dip, tricep dip. Let the breath be easy. Feel like you're hugging a block between your legs. If you feel like you have too much weight, that's nice, Doug. Too much weight in the arms. Yup. And then one more time, open it up. So unfold it, send the knees forward, send the sternum up towards the chin, and then fold down. Cross your shins, come through to a table. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the buttock bones. Press your feet down, float your knees up off the floor. That's it. Keep your feet that connected. And then just start to cat and cow. Go slow for 3. Really feel the length in the back of the spine and all the ligaments that are on the back of the spine. And then when you inhale, really find like you're pulling yourself, like you're opening up a place that is, it's going to be harder for you, right? Because we tend to sink this way in the front. So you really have to fight to find that length. Pull it forward. Yes. And then crawl your hands to extended table. So your shoulders come over the wrist. There's more demand on the belly. Pull your belly in. And then what I want you to do is go forward. So the forearm doesn't move from position. So the elbow doesn't go back, okay? Your chest goes forward and you press back up to straight arms. Your chest goes forward and you press back up. So it's like a tricep push-up or Chaturanga Dandasana. Your job is to stay in the knuckles of the hands. Paula, you can back up a little bit. Walk your knees forward just a titch. So you're not totally straight. That's much harder. There's a little bit of a movement back and you go down and come up. You go down and come up. So we're doing a lot of tricep work today. Yes. So nice. Coordinate the breath. What you should feel, Laura, I want you to feel the inner arms grazing the side of the ribs when you go down. But down is forward. Nice, Randy. Stay in the thumbs. Good. And then come back up. Walk your knees forward. So you're in a regular table again. Knees under buttock bones, wrists under shoulders. And now what I want you to do, so instead of bending and working the back of the arm, we're going to puff up. And I want you to feel it between the shoulder blades. Okay? And so if you want a remedial one from that, it's this, right? My right hand is going to come forward from the side of my spine, my shoulder blade going wide. So I'm working the serratus anterior, right and left. Okay? So that's it. So it's not, don't shrug the shoulders up, Robert. Puff up the upper back. Like a rooster or a gorilla, right? That's like suddenly like getting ready, right? It's a very testosterone-y thing. You should feel the belly. I don't want you to feel the back of your neck. I want you to feel that protraction. You should feel it into the side and the belly hollows. We've done that work, that prep for the belly already. Good. Now just soften back to regular. Yes. Puff up again. By pushing the floor away and really envision the shoulder blades going wide without dumping into the pinky side of the hand. So keep the thumb rooted down and then release. Good. Sit back on your feet. It should feel like it is a tiny bit of movement, but it takes a lot of energy. Like you should be warm and the demand for the breath should have increased tremendously, right? It's one of those things in yoga that like looks like nothing, but like, oh, wow, why don't you try it and see what this feels like, right? Are you with me? Great. Downward facing dog. From that motion, from that wrapping, I want you to feel like your arms start at the spine and then that they start reaching from the belly. So connect the work that we did with the pedaling of the legs and the hollowing of the psoas channel. So when you reach the arms overhead, which is what downward facing dog is, it comes from that psoas channel and the scapula being wide. Yeah, Wendy's got it because she just like her shirt just lifted up off, right? So she literally is pulling herself apart in two directions, which is really what the yoga is, to yoke, right? So you've got to connect it to something and then be able to go. Nice, Lara. Now connect the balls of the feet, the whole ball of the foot to the ground, and then lift the buttock bones up and off of that. And if your shirt falls away from your pants on that, you will have done the action correctly because it'll move the sacrum in and give you the wave of the back. Plug in the balls of the feet. Come forward to plank pose. Here we are. So strong. And then plug in the balls of the feet, lift the buttock bones up and back, off the armpits, off the wrist creases. And then from the wrapping of the shoulder blade wide, press the thumb into the ground. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Balls of the feet press down, inner thighs lift, pull the chest forward. And then just 1 inch forward. Bend the elbows. Press back up to plank pose. Plug in the feet. 1 inch forward. Elbows don't go back. Shoulders go forward. Press back up. One more time. Press back up and back to a dog pose. Bring your knees down. Take a rest. Child's pose. Fold it up. We're going to do that again with a block between the thighs, and I want you to notice how much easier it is when we recruit the legs. Okay. Come back up. You can use anything, Sonia. Put a block between the thighs. Come into table. Walk your hands forward, extended table. Okay, so let's do this one again. So notice that my wrists and knees are farther apart than my armpits and my groins. I'm going to plug my feet in, bring my hips forward, not all the way forward, okay? Just a little bit forward. And I'm just going to work on shoulders forward, chest forward. So my forearm doesn't change. And what is actually really helpful, if you have another block, you can put it on behind the wrist. Because traditionally when people do Chaturanga, the first mistake that they make is they're here in plank pose and they go back with the elbow. See how I knocked the block out of the way? And I'm going the wrong way. The poses move forward. So if I have the block here behind the forearm, behind the wrist, I know I can't go back. I'll have to go forward and then back up, right? Forward. Yes. And so with the knees down, it's like doing push-ups with the knees down. It's infinitely more easy. Hug the block between your legs so you really get that connection to the belly and the core. It's actually much less weight on the arms so you can find the mobility and the strength when you have the geometry of it. And then come back. And then we'll do plank pose with the block between our legs, okay? So we're kind of building up to Chaturanga. Wendy, did you have a question?
How do you prevent your shoulders from collapsing forward in the Chaturanga? Because if you're going forward, it's pretty easy to have the shoulders fold forward or roll forward.
So that's why I'm only having you go down an inch. I'm only having you go down an inch, right? You're talking about this. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but also like this versus keeping the structure at 90 degrees, like keeping.
So for you, so she's asking about this collapse in. So if the sternum keeps going forward, which in Chaturanga is that way, if I keep thinking that's the thing, I'm not going to be able to collapse in. Okay, so think that forward. And we'll do two more things with the blocks before we flip it around, okay? And I'll show you. So one of them is to put a block under the sternum so you can't collapse the chest as much. Okay, so you can keep a block between your thighs. Set it up. You can also just do this baby one. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to think I'm going to move my sternum. See how my sternum comes forward? Instead of letting it, you got to move it further forward. Instead of letting it sink. So chest forward, elbow stays over the wrist, comes forward. And then I'm kind of in the position in the upper body. If I wanted to go into the full pose, I could just straighten my legs. But the sternum has to move forward. If it sinks down, then I roll the shoulders. You see the difference? Forward. And then eventually, you don't have the block there because the block is there as a scaffolding, as a reminder. It's not there for you to sink your weight on, right? I was teaching in the mentorship class yesterday. It's like, if you're using crutches, which are so helpful if you need them, but if you're using crutches and all of a sudden your wrist starts hurting or you get the chafing under your arms, you're not using the crutches correctly, right? It's not for you to sink all your weight onto. It's to inform you, you have to lift up off of them and move yourself forward. So the block is there not for you to be like, oh, I can just sink into it. It's so I don't go any lower and I keep moving forward. Okay. The second one, Wendy, which might also help, is you put the block in front of the fingers and you can't go even lower. So this is going to, shoulder's going to actually want to not hit. So again, you can do this in a half thing. So elbow stays over the wrist. I go forward. It's pretty universal because the block is pretty much the size of someone's forearm. I mean, if you're very tall and you have very long limbs, it won't work. But it's a pretty good measurement, like just like someone's foot, right? So you can go down that way. But it's also like riding a bike. If you're teaching a child, like your adorable nephew, if you're going to teach him to ride a bike, you have to tell them to look where you want to go. Don't look where you think you're going to fall, right? If a kid is riding a bike, they're like, I'm going to hit the curb. Like as soon as their vision goes, that's where the hands and the wheel go, right? It's like, no. Look where you want to go because that's what directs the pelvis. You know, if someone is playing if you're guarding someone at basketball, because it's basketball season, if you're guarding someone with basketball and they're trying to get around you and they're faking you out, look where their pelvis is going. They're actually going to go around you that way. I say to my son, like, don't look where he's looking to fake you out. Look where he's actually about to go next, right? So with the Chaturanga, it's not, don't look down, look forward because the chin will pull, if you're connected, the chin will pull the sternum. And that's one of the things I say to people all this time is over just like that Pez dispenser in their neck all the time. Do it from the bottom. Better. Yeah, When do you feel that? So nice. You really have that. Again, it's just about the corners. So if this is rounded forward. So the block here, look forward. I'm actually not touching the block. Okay? All right. Oh, and one more really nice thing. Get it strapped, guys. Wendy, you're going to love this. get a strap and make a shrug. So you're going to make a loop. You're going to put it around. I want to put it around so I can adjust it if I want. So you're going to reach it on your arms. And then you're going to move your hands behind you and let it fall behind your head. So the strap forms a loop at pretty much at like C6, C7, and wraps around the front of my collarbones. And I have the thing here, so I made it a little bit bigger. I can adjust it a little bit. Make sure it's not on the neck. It wants to be right at the base of the neck because that won't feel good, okay? I'm going to tighten it a little bit because I had it a little bit wider. And now roll the shoulders up, back, and down to setting them where they should be. And what this does is it's going to keep you from dropping your head. It's going to keep you from can't round the back. So go ahead and like fall out of alignment here. And it tells you right away. So it's going to help keep the shoulder blades, bottom of the strap, bottom tips moving in, collarbones broad, okay? So I just tighten mine a little bit more because it gives feedback right away. And so I don't even need the blocks with this version. And if you were of fashion in the early 2000s, you remember the shrugs. Remember the shrugs? Pages say yes. Okay, so shift forward, find the knuckles of your hands. Bend the elbows straight back. It holds you in alignment. Press back up to plank pose. Isn't that so nice? Press down. And then come up to up dog. Collarbones broad. Stay in the thumbs. Stay in the thumb side of the hand. And then back to dog pose. And when you're back to dog pose, you can really feel again. Reach. So plug in the feet. Come forward to plank. And I'll say this when we come back out. Even plank pose, you should feel that. Pull the chest forward. It's like, oh, the shrug is just giving you so much support. Then the elbows, shoulders go forward. Back to plank or up dog. So nice. And then knees down, child pose or dog pose, and come back out of it. So I love this one. This is pretty easy. And it's one of those things that, like, for someone who's always rounded all the time, like, you could put this on when you're doing your work at the desk, because it's like one of those posture reminders, right? That as soon as you start to round, you're going to be like, oh, I feel this in my armpit. Okay, let me reset. It's a really nice one, okay? And then you can just take it down a little bit, and then you really feel the moving back. It's actually really nice. You can even do some breath work there. Yeah, you can like add external rotation. So pretty. Let it slide off. It's nice. We never have our arms back here. I always teach a class. I'm like, why don't we walk around and be like, oh, here you go. Like use the whole circumference of that shoulder joint. We're so like here only. All right. Chaturanga Dandasana. We're building. We're working towards it. Let's find a little bit more in the legs. You can come to a wall and have your feet in the wall. You can put blocks in front of the feet. If you have a baseboard, that's not going to give you a real true line. I want to use a little bit more of the foot in the wall. Let's do the back leg in the wall and step your right foot forward for a lunge, okay? Let's just open it up. Because, a lot of people think like, oh, I can't do chaturanga. I don't have the arm strength. It actually doesn't require that much arm strength, but it requires the geometry. Yeah, find your dog pose where your feet are at the wall. And then step the right foot forward. So even here, before you lower your back leg down, bring your back, like reach through the inner back heel into the wall or into the block. And then send that right knee forward. So you can really begin to play. I'm going to go into a lunge. No, I'm going to go into Parsvottanasana. But it's all from the feet. And then the left knee comes down, the heel will come a little bit away from the wall. You can bring the ball of the foot to the wall and then reach up. What I want you to feel is nothing on the knee. So my toes, this is really going to work on the big toe mobility. So again, this will determine where you are. But I can lift my knee up off the floor by reaching my foot into the wall. Okay, so you can try that. And when the knee comes back down, make sure you're still giving oomph into the wall, because that's going to help in the Chaturanga Dandasana, so you don't collapse all your weight into the chest. Reach the arms up. Nice, tiger. And then let's just reach up. Take your right hand to the right knee and just reach up and over. Feel again that psoas channel on the left. So feel like you're moving a block back between your left and your left thigh. Move it back. You'll feel it so much deeper. And you can even take your right hand and like feel the rib cage. Oh, so good. And then you can have a block on your left side. Reach your right arm up. Keep sending that right knee straight forward. Come up and out. I have no weight in this hand. I have no weight in this hand at all. In fact, I'm even going to play. Bring your right knee further forward, Paula. I'm going to even play with lifting up in the back. So even here, when you're opening the right side, up and over, lift your back leg up and send it back through the wall. Like telescope your leg back. You can even start to turn and then come back down. Okay, so bring your hands right under your shoulders. Bring your wrist down, but have it be so light, so light. Connect. Okay, here's what I want to say. Connect the inner border of the shoulder blade from the side of the neck down the inner border of the shoulder blade. Draw the lower tip of the shoulder blade in. Go up the outer shoulder blade. Go across the top of the shoulder blade, down the outside of the arm. And from the outside of the arm, go across and plug in the index finger. That is the true path of weight bearing through the shoulder blade into the hand. You're in plank in the left leg. That's it, Brandy. Now send the right knee forward just a little bit. But feel that oomph in the back leg. So your brain is just connecting to the back leg. Pull your right heel to your right butt. You're in plank pose. You're in plank pose. Send the chest forward. Send the chest forward as you reach the right leg back and say, oh, I have two legs holding me up now. So easy. So nice. Knees down, or go right to a dog pose and we'll do the other side. Pull it apart in your mind's eye. Reach again, inner shoulder blades, wide. Find that serratus anterior. And then from the shoulder blade, go down the back of the arm. We did all that tricep work to wake up the back of the arm. When you get to the outer elbow, find that pronation action, right? That little muscle that wraps the thumb side of the hand down into the ground. And then step your left foot forward. Nice. Okay. In your mind's eye, reach back through the back inner heel. Connect the foot. If you need to adjust, the ball of the foot back a little bit. Left knee comes forward. Left knee comes forward. Try and take less weight in the hands. You can move them out a little bit. This is going to help open up the quad faster. This will build strength in the left leg. Right knee touches the ground. Plug the foot into the wall. Sweep up. Sweep up. Go forward. That's it, Robert. And then from your brain, right into plug in the socket. Plug in the socket, that knee lifts off the floor. Because it's like, oh, all of a sudden there's energy. It's like you're energized. Let the knee come down. Good. Left hand, left knee. Wrap that shoulder blade wide. Like you're going to cast a fishing line. Not from the elbow, Doug. From the shoulder blade. That's it. And then come up and over. Feel that psoas channel. The belly draws back on that right side. Sonia, wrap your right butt wide. Right hip out. Yeah, that's it. Up and over. Jack, come forward. Plug that foot into the wall to come forward. And then block on the side just as a little space holder. Left arm up and over. Pelvis drives forward. So even though you're going out lateral flexion to the right, you're still moving forward. That's it. And then take yourself down, chest on the thigh, armpit to the knee. Lift the back thigh up off the floor until you feel your hips are as high as your shoulders. And then hands down underneath the shoulders. Find the corners. Plug in the ball of the right foot. Lift the right inner thigh. Pull the chest forward. So you're in plank pose. It's like, oh, this left foot is like extraneous. Like pull it up to the butt and hover there. But keep pulling the sternum forward. And then straighten the left leg. And it's like, oh, God, I have an extra leg to help me in the bottom floor. And then fold it into a dog pose. Walk the balls of the feet forward just a titch. Lift the butt up. So nice. Okay. Bring yourself down off the floor, knees down. Show you again. Right hand, palm up, like you're offering me something. Take your left hand to the armpit. So you're doing, my arm is beside me, doing an external rotation when you spin the armpit forward, okay? So the palm's gonna face up. Yes, this, because the lower arm is also rotating the same direction as the upper arm, is easier than this. Okay? This, even though it's so hard to do a weight-bearing pose on the back of your hand, if I don't have a full pronation, my weight stays in the pinky side of the wrist. You probably feel that a lot in a weight-bearing pose on the hands. So you have to get, this is why I'm saying, from the outer elbow, when you work from the shoulder blade wide, the energy goes down. From the outer elbow, you've got to wrap and connect to the index finger knuckle, right? It's when you, I'm a basketball mom, in case you can't tell. If you're like throwing the ball, you have to release the ball through that index finger. That's the dunking action. So play that. You want to take the weight, wrap it into the index finger knuckle without losing. So when you see people in dog pose whose shoulders are up over there and they lose their neck, it's because they can't keep this action, the external rotation, and then get that. So it's both. And you can think of it as a double helix. It's the same thing in the leg. When you internally rotate, you move the groin back, you've got to connect through the ball of the foot. Okay, let's try that. And the nice thing what we do in Katana yoga is, well, we'll let you just do this. You know, when we do the twist, we do the closed twist, and I say it's actually easier to flip this hand back because it's this action. It's easier to access the shoulder in external rotation when you turn this way, so you're not losing the bottom, okay? So let's come to a table. And there's a long explanation for me to justify what we're gonna flip our palms, which I know you all love to do. Flip your palm. And now with the palm flip, so you have the lower arm also supinating. What I want you to do is get out of the pinky finger, find the thumb. So if you had a strap around the arm, break the strap apart with the elbows, widen the elbows. For most of you, you have to bend it a little bit because this is where if you hyperextend your knees, well, guess what? You do it here too, in your elbows. So a little bend, and then widen those elbows. And you should feel the pads of the thumb start to make more contact. And it should alleviate any feeling of like dumping or compression or into the wrist, okay? And then you can move your butt back a little bit, and this opens up all of this whole channel here. The muscles that control the fingers are in the forearms. And so just by moving your hips back a little bit, you again, we're working that angle at the wrist, you get a nice stretch and an opening. Okay, come back forward, and then just sit back down. Roll the shoulders, reset them. We're gonna do that again, and then we're gonna prop up the legs, and we're gonna add an extra fold, because every time you add an extra fold, it's harder. Okay, table. So we can use the metaphor and like a flipping. So we flip the wrist to develop flippancy and fluency, right? And it's the opposite of grasping. And so in yoga, the term or the yama niyama would be a parigraha, right? Non-hoarding, practicing just letting stuff go. So for some people, that's harder than others. And it'll show up in the body. So plug your feet in and float your knees off the floor. Shift into the knuckles of the hand. Bend the right elbow up, flip the palm. Your right wrist lands on the same line. Most people will take it forward. But no. That's too much. You take it right underneath the wrist. You have the structure. Flip the left one. And I tend to hyperextend my elbows. I always have to think a little bend, which is really straight. And then flip the right one back. And flip the left one back. Oh, I just got the suction cup. If you feel that when you pull your hand off the mat, listen. Did you hear that? Was it loud enough? You heard it? Oh, good. That'll be good on the recording. So that's what you should feel. And if you dump your weight into the outer wrist, you lose, the energy leaks out. It's like a hole in a balloon or in a raft, right? Through that index finger knuckle. So just think about the four corners of the hand will give you the hollow, that beautiful, auspicious hasta bandha that we call in Sanskrit. You'll get that suction. And if you're not in it, you won't get that feeling. Okay? So do it a few times. Make sure the wrist comes right underneath the shoulder or the collarbone. Now I just had it there. And now we're going to do it again with the block between the thighs. Now, what does this do for you? Well, notice, right? Observation is action. Krishnamurti, one of my favorite quotes. Hug the block between your thighs. Feel that lift your belly right away. Feel that instead of overloading, overburdening in the shoulders, which is what so many of us do, you actually train the legs to strengthen and work their own weight. So flip now and see if it's easier for you to get that suction sound. Oh, that was a good one. And do you repeatedly have it on one hand only? And is that your dominant hand? Right? That one tends to be more intelligent, right? The other one is like, what? So nice. Now, for those of you that want to go further, do it in plank pose. Hug the blocks, find the heels over the balls of the feet. This is harder to not load the upper body. But again, like we were talking about with Wendy, pull the sternum forward. And as soon as I say pull the sternum forward, I feel the four corners of my hands, especially my inner hands, more. And then you walk the plank. Walk the plank. Look forward in front of you. When you walk that plank, you better look and check the water. We'll keep walking the plank. Try not to like offload the hands. This really develops that pliancy. More legs, guys. Hug the block. Everyone except Brandy, lift the block higher up to the ceiling. Brandy, pull your chest forward. I know you have your thing right there, but just pull your chest. And she's so smart. She's got her feet plugged into the wall, which is so. All right, guys, come on down. So nice. Wendy, walk your hands forward a little bit. Your butt's a little higher in a pike position. That's it right there. Okay. So now we're going to, again, scaffold up under the legs. So 2 blocks, medium height, pretty standard for half of the foot. Okay? Plank, forward. So my thighs are on the block. My pubic bone is in front of it, okay? So it really works to centrate the thigh bones in the hip socket. Notice my heels are over the balls of my feet, so I have extension in my toes. And again, I'm showing you sideways so you can see, but feel free to do this with your feet in a wall. It's going to be infinitely easier. If you have someone with you, they sit on your feet. It's like night and day. Because what I'm about to do, some of you might be like, what? That's cray-cray. So just flip your palm. Flip your other palm. Pull the collarbones apart, pull your sternum through, but in your brain, find the balls of the feet, big toe mound. So I'm actually energetically pulling apart from my lower back in 2 directions. Pubic bone moves forward, tailbone reaches to the heels, chest comes forward. I could stay here forever, and I'm turning to the left to look at the camera, but the freedom in the neck, when you have the collarbones broad and the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down, my palms are turned, Nelson. That's it. And so just working in here, plug in the feet. Now, to up the ante, that we've added extra fold. Same thing, everything we've been training for. The elbows don't go back. You go forward and come back up. And as you go forward, don't let the heels come forward, because that's going to put too much weight in the wrists and the hands. So plug in the feet. Jack, the one day that Jill should be there and sitting on your feet. Chest forward and then back up. So all you're doing is folding and unfolding. And I am in the 4 corners of my hands that if I were to lift up, I'd have that suction. When I come forward, I really have to think right big toe down, forward and up. Eventually, you could do this on the fingertips. So I get a little bit more height up here at the top. My arc is a little bit more. And it's like, oh my God, I'm just folding and unfolding in joint space. I can talk to you the whole time. This is so, I'm just in joint space. But it's one of those things that if it's impossible, it just tells you you're muscling it somewhere. Nelson, hands wider. And so if you're still working on this, if you're still working on this, if you're caving, the elbows are caving in, don't try and go down because your foundation isn't set. You don't have a foundation, you can't build the rest of the house. So just go back and work on this in a table. Just think, if you're going to bend your elbows and they're caving in, widen them out. You can put a strap around just under the elbow and feel like you're going to break into the strap. Yes. So nice. All right. Isn't that fun? And now we're going to do an old school vinyasa. The whole class was just to do a vinyasa and not break down the wrist, the whole shoulder girdle complex. So come back to a dog pose. If the wall is helpful for you, use it. If you can add the flip over the feet, we did a lot of like ankle movement at the beginning of class to be able to help that. Oh, let's do this flippy thing first because we have enough time. So great. Okay. Fold into a dog pose. Into a child's pose. Take a moment. Touch your hands to your feet. Just get that sensory awareness. Hands to feet. Okay. Bring your hands forward. Come up into like almost like, okay, I'm going to unfold this table and then I'm going to lift my knees up. So my feet, tops of my feet are staying down, okay? So I'm lifting my knees up and pulling my butt back like I'm going to go into a dog pose on the tops of my feet, which seems crazy. Yes, I know. Seems crazy. You're going to be like, no, I want to be here. But the more you can be here, because again, to find that flippancy in the feet, the buttock bones have to go back and up. So stay here, flip, and then if you need to do one foot at a time, go ahead and walk yourself back into a hang. So be in a hang, but without a blanket under the heels, just keep shifting the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Let the torso be so heavy. You can walk your hands back towards your feet. You can take a hold of opposite elbows. Just please keep shifting forward. You can even take your hands underneath your heels for a moment and like pull up a little bit, shift the weight forward. So eventually the buttock bones come over the heels. Torso is on the thighs. You should feel this in your legs, not in your back. Okay. Lift the buttock bones up to lift the heels up and then start to fold. So eventually you're going to come into this angle where the heels are right over. It's like a Barbie foot. It's like you're in really, really, really high heels. And then the knees come down and you roll over the feet. Yep. And then hands down, lift the butt up, you unfold. So good. Lift the heels up to lift your butt up. Keep thinking that the pelvis lifts so you are less heavy in the feet. You just roll over the feet. Come back down. So you're just folding and unfolding in the legs. And I appreciate this is really one of those things. Not even like this one doesn't even look like nothing. This one looks like wow. Lift up, get that pure toe extension, and then lift the hips as the knees go down. You're really opening up that space. And eventually, you're just folding and unfolding. You want to avoid the walking the hands forward and offloading the feet, right? You want to avoid the little like hop. But, eventually. Okay. Ready? Let's do a dog pose. To walk it out, it should feel so nice. Wag your tail from side to side. Remember that pat, wrap from the outer elbow. So spin the armpits forward and then wrap from the outer elbow into the index finger knuckle. And I just got to, what should just happen is like an easy breath to just come in and wide and down and wide. Come forward to plank pose. Find your measure. Heels over the balls of the feet. Chest forward, sternum forward. So you're in the knuckles of the hands, not in the heels of the hands. And then fold it back to a dog pose. But even as you lift the buttock bones up and back, throw like you're throwing a basketball, throw the weight into the index finger. And then come forward to plank pose. 90, 90. 90 at the wrist, 90 at the ankle, and then up and back to a dog pose. Keep the weight in the index finger knuckle. That's the anchor. That's the yoking. That's the tension that is required to open up the organs of the lungs. Come forward again, plank. Stay in your feet. The ball of the foot is the lung of the foot. So send the chest forward away from the ball of the foot and feel more breath even there, top to bottom. Up and back to a dog pose. So you become this, you keep going. Every time you inhale, find plank. Don't lose the legs, Jill. Stay in the legs when you come forward to plank. Stay in the knuckles of the hands when you go back to a dog pose. So then you're really playing, you're finding the polarities and you're mediating even as you move from one to the other. Brandy, find that wrapping of the elbows in when you go from plank to dog pose. Because you're so strong in the back, you don't even feel it. Do you feel that difference right there? You just got more space. That's what I want you to connect to every time you come back into a dog pose. Okay, come to plank again. Now, remember that little chaturanga we did? It could be sternum forward, collarbones broad, stay in the knuckles of the hands, 1 inch. I'd rather you do chaturanga like this, like a little tricep push-up, than think you have to go all the way down. That is so much better to train you to where you want to go than to back out of something where gravity is so hard, okay? And then up dog. From the feet. Did you flip? Flip over the feet? And then flip back by lifting your hips up. So people cannot flip from up dog to down dog when their pelvis is so low to the ground because they're not thinking helium in the pelvis to move you back. Buttock bones pull back and up. Good. Skip plank. Skip chaturanga. Just go to up dog. So then it just becomes, you're just flossing the hips and the shoulders. So nice, Paula. Something is heavy in the left hand. Lift the left buttock bone higher. Find the hollow of the armpit. And then just let it be like a, you're the maestro. You're the maestro. Hips, wrists, heels. Yes. Pair it with the breath. And if you're just going back from one to the other, don't flip the feet. Just hips and shoulders. And then maybe now I'm going to flip the feet. And I'm going to flip back by thinking, but lift up. Look, I'm still on the top of my feet. I'm still on the top of my feet. I've got to lift my butt up. Plank. Chaturanga. Up dog. And back to down dog. So nice. Yes. And if you want, put that little shrug back on and feel the difference. And if you want, if it's the first floor that's hard, put a block between your legs. So put this back on, arms up, arms behind you, right? The strap goes behind the head. So we're informing the joints and the shoulder girdle, and we're informing the first floor to not drop the bottom out, okay? And so from here, go back into a dog pose. And where that strap is across the back, it should really help the bottom tips to the shoulder blades. I'm not gonna round forward. Come forward to plank pose, hug the block. Chaturanga Dandasana, won't let your shoulders round. Up dog, keep squeezing the block, lifting it up. And then lift the block up and back. Throw the weight forward into the knuckles of the hand, especially that index finger knuckle. And from there, float your butt up higher and pull it apart. Plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. One more time. Plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Feel the demand of the breath. Make the breath quieter so even you can't hear it. Stay in the knuckles of the hands, wrap the armpits towards the heart. Float the buttock bones up and out as you press the big toe mound down. Remember, knees down. Block out. Chest to thigh. Forehead to ground. Hands to feet. Let the breath fill up the shape of the torso. And the nose forward, chin forward, chest forward. Keep the hands on the feet. Come all the way up to sit. Shoulders should be set in the right position. If not, you can roll them. Put the arms out and up. Oh, like it's a brand new day. Little apple picking. Pull the thumbs, knit the thumbs together. Other fingers reach up and wrap the shoulder blades again wide so the armpits come forward. Pull yourself apart. Go up, 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 up. And then release the arms down. Keep the strap on you all day. Put a sweater on top of it. No one will know, but you'll be like, oh, it's my little secret. It's my posture secret. Have a great day, everybody. That was fun. I mean, at least I thought so. Good girl.